Mitsu's little crossover. It's got the face of a Lancer Evo. But is that reaching a little too far? We'll take a ride in the 2010 Outlander 3-liter GT and check the tech. Our Outlander is top of the stack. It's a GT. That means V6, fancy all-wheel drive, uprated trim, although Mitsus are never really what you call a lavish car. It's nominally a 3-row, but more on that later. Now we've got the nav leather package inside our Outlander, which brings this head unit that you normally wouldn't see, a much more downgraded sort of monochrome thing stock, and these pretty cool looking seats with these kind of cloth inserts and a little bit of leather, but not much. Anyway, let's go here where the tech lives. This unit is touchscreen, as you can see. I can pop around just about any menu I want and get there with nice large buttons, easy to get around. Entering an address is easy, and as you can see, the response is pretty quick because this is hard drive based. The resolution's okay. There's a fair amount of aliasing around the typefaces on this system, but not enough that it bothers me much. Once you get to navigation, that's where the resolution starts to bother me a lot more. It's kind of play school looking, to be honest. And what in God's name are those arrows doing? Is that like a game where you have little cars that are crashing into each other? I can't even make sense of that. It's some kind of a traffic indication, I get that, but that's the goofiest interface I've seen in a while. Your sources on this are fairly good. You've got a flip-up screen here that gets you to a single CD optical slot, CD DVD, to be honest. You can watch movies when you're parked. There's an aux jack here. I have no idea what that does. It's not labeled, and you can't get to it when the face is down. You have a single CD because you also have hard drive space. 40 gigabyte drive for the system, 10 gigabytes is available for you to put stuff on. Now, because we have a high trim car and have this nice head unit, we also get the Rockford Fosgate logo right there. That means a whole lot of thumping audio. 710 watts in this guy. AM and FM, no HD radio for either of those, by the way. Sirius satellite radio on this guy. CD, the single one we talked about. Music server, that's the 10 gigabytes of hard drive space you carve out of the 40, which the system has total. Auxiliary is your standard aux jack. We have AV aux on this one, by the way, because of this upgraded configuration. Otherwise, you just have audio. Bluetooth streaming audio, so my hands-free also has A2DP. And here's my iPod, which I have sitting down here in a USB-only connection, which is nice. A lot of other cars use one of those Siamese cables that goes to aux and USB at once. This guy does it the way it should be, with an iPod cable. Now this system has what's called Fuse. It's kind of a poor man's sync. It lets you drive the entertainment and the phone system with supposedly very good natural language. Let's try it out.
Ready.
Play artist Van Morrison.
Playing Van Morrison.
Okay, and there come all the tracks by the artist I specified. The transmission in this guy is a one-choice-only 6-speed automatic going with that all-wheel drive output system. You do have a shiftable gate down here where you can move things around manually, but what I really like is Mitsubishi gets it. They give you paddle shifters that are nice and large, and they're stuck on the steering column, so they aren't flying around with the wheel, changing their relative position when you need them to be in place the most, like when you're driving hard on a curvy road. And on our super all-wheel control system, we do have a pretty simple mode control here. Standard road conditions, tarmac as they call it. Snow is here, and then for a all-wheel drive lock, you go to that third position. Now because we have a 3.0 GT super all-wheel control, we've got a 3-liter V6 under the hood. This is a fairly garden variety engine. It's a single overhead cam. There's no turbo. There's no particularly fancy stuff going on with the valves or the injection. It's kind of a common everyday motor. It's giving you 230 horsepower, also a fairly common number. 215 foot-pounds of torque. I never like it when that number is lower of the two. MPG's fine, 1824, not bad for pushing something this size through the air. Now anything with UV in its category name, SUV, CUV, whatever UV, needs to have some pretty good cargo folding seatability. Let's find out. Now, this is the second row. You lift this lever here. Ouch! Oh, Jesus. And that thing takes a big old crazy tumble in a way that wants to sever fingers. I always want to hear a Warner Brothers sound effect when it does that. But what's really fascinating is the third row. Come on. Honestly, I can't believe they got this one by the feds. Check out the third row seat. First of all, I like this little transom you can drop. That's nice. Nice flat load floor. Unfortunately, it does give you a lean over because now you can't get right up against the back of the car. Ouch. But check out the third row. Now, you got to follow the directions of the tabs. You lift this up, then you pull this back. Okay. Then you reach in here and pull this guy back and kind of tilt it and whoa! Good grief. Then you got some headrests, which are more like ironing board extensions. And then when the whole thing's up, look at that. That's the kind of thing I would make with some tin snips and some masonite one weekend. Parking tech can either be a rear camera or distance sensors or both, all a la carte, or get the hard drive, nav, and leather package that includes the camera. Rear seat entertainment's available on this relatively diminutive SUV. It's a 9-inch DVD system of the single-screen drop-down type that I don't like unless you enjoy driving without a rear-view mirror that functions. A V6 usually means smooth, forceful things happening up front, but the Outlander didn't really do any of those things in my experience. Lean on the engine and it sounds like something isn't quite right up there. And not a lot gets done until a surge filters its way through the automatic, which wasn't even that sharp when paddled. And cornering's not real interesting because the tires feel tall and let out howls of discontent just too often. An Outlander GT includes the 3-liter V6 and super all-wheel control with a base price of $30,008. Nav package brings along leather seats, free live traffic, the 10 gig of hard drive space, and a rear camera for $3,000. That's a nice price. Or just get the hard drive, nav, traffic alone for $2,500. Just not as good a value. Rear seat entertainment, $1,850.